this question first. Should undocumented immigrants be placed on the same path to citizenship as documented immigrants? If so, why? If not, why not?
Of course, there has to be a different way of getting to citizenship if you're here undocumented. There just has to be a path to be able to get there so that we could address the issue of their status while they are here.
I'll be honest with you. I had a meeting in the White House right after the Obama administration decided to sue the state of Arizona, and I made an argument that they should be doing a lot more to sue a lot of other people and don't just single out Arizona. There's 331 laws this year, on top of 400 some odd laws last year, passed on a state, local, and state, local, and state level around the country, dealing with immigration issues where I believe they have no business dealing with immigration issues.
In California, what effect, if any, has the undocumented immigrant had on health care in the United States and in California?
What is happening is that the federal government had refused to close the border and to protect the state of California, to protect the state. The government has an obligation to do that under the implied social contract. Well, see, the problem is that the government also forced the state to educate illegal immigrants, but it does not provide any money. So it's actually like you trying to barely struggling to feed your family. All of a sudden, about 20 of your cousins comes over and you're forced to feed them. And so that's why, as I see it, why some of the citizens of Arizona were looking from that perspective. And also, you had a crime problem there too. And as I understand, one thing that really sparked that law is that the gang killed rich white farmers. And that's when people got all upset. So they were asking the federal government to help them out. They said, no, they said, okay, we're going to do something. But they kept dragging their feet. And so then, what would you do when somebody come in your house and try to take the food from you without to feed your own children?
Your racial profiling. Because what it says to law enforcement is you have to look at everybody and decide, is that person here illegally or legally? They give that full authority to a law enforcement. Now, you're a law enforcement, and you look at me before I open my mouth, and you look at another Latino person, or a person with a different skin color, or the eyes might be different, and you're expecting that police officer to have to make a decision as to whether or not you're here illegally. That is what was required by SB 1070. SB 1070 says, and if you don't do that, then any citizen can sue the police department and sue the jurisdiction for not enforcing the law.
1070 came down because it was a cry for help. As Dr. Smith said, a rancher was murdered on his own property. And this was something that had been coming up. There were people coming across the border, and you had this going on. You also had the impact economically that was hitting, again, as Dr. Smith had pointed out. The racial profiling, and this was an attempt to help fix a problem, put a Band-Aid on what we would call in the military a sucking chest wound, okay? And anybody knows if you've been in the military, that's impossible. But it was something that they were trying to do, to call the question on the federal government to do what they're mandated to do. I mean, they were leaving the state of Arizona open and vulnerable by not acting. Now, the racial profiling card comes into play because that's expedient. I mean, President Obama says, oh, they're going to go into a donut shop and arrest Mexicans. Come on. I mean, all you're doing is you're turning an issue that is very important and deserving of more than an 8-second soundbite. Newt Gingrich said it right. If we're going to debate an issue in 8 seconds, then we get all this emotion back and forth. We really don't come to deal with the problem the way we need to deal with the problem. Again, it was no different than what was happening in the federal law. They could not, like you or I mean, if they pull us over and we've infracted, if we have a traffic infraction or if we've broken the law, what are they going to ask? They're going to ask for your ID. I mean, that's to protect the police officer as much as it's to protect me as well.